He needs that human side, that off the cuff side, because everything else was all his credentials and the produced videos and the FAQs. And it's like, now let's make you human. Let's make you approachable, visible. And I was so proud and happy when months later he came to me. He goes, I never would have thought that being on my phone, talking without a script and production and all that would ever get me anywhere. He goes, I literally have people walking up to me on the street, recognizing me from my videos on social media and then the blog posts that they've seen because they see me on Facebook, and then they go to my website and they just cross me in the street and went, I know you.
Muhami Matters with Chris Adams, powered by CJA Consulting.
Welcome to Muhami Matters, where credibility meets clarity in legal and professional services. I'm your host, as always, Chris Adams, founder of Muhami and CJA Consulting. Today, I'm joined by Sophie Zollmann, founder of FMD Strategic Partners. She's out of Nashville, Tennessee, and works with independent professional service providers, including businesses in the legal, medical, financial, and wider professional services sectors. Sounds pretty familiar. And she really helps them become more visible and better positioned and more commercially effective. Sophie, welcome to Muhami Matters. I'm really pleased to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I love getting on and having conversations with friends and colleagues about what we do, especially when we are, strategic partners and supporting each other in all kinds of ways, not just these podcasts.
Love it. Yeah. We've had a number of conversations over the past probably 9 months or so, I'd say, about marketing and professional services, about independent firms, about AI, visibility, what actually drives commercial growth. So I thought today was a really good opportunity for our audience, many are lawyers and doctors and medical services providers and other professionals, to know what they need to know about becoming more visible. And they're not always clear where to start. So I thought we could, just have a bit of a chat today about why also marketing should start with strategy rather than just random tactics, which is what a lot of people want to do, but is definitely not the best. I think you'll agree.
No, the days of random tactics and just doing social media or just doing a website or just doing ads, those days are long gone. There's way too much going on in the marketing world, especially when you're up against corporate level, multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar competitors who have the money to spend anywhere and everywhere. That's where strategy comes in, because if you're going to be found in all that noise, strategic marketing is more important than ever before.
100%. You've got quite a lot of experience in it. For those who don't know you, could you briefly introduce yourself and FMD Strategic Partners?
Sure. So I am Sophie Zollmann in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been in the online business space for 25 years. I started 25 years ago to help the family have more income, and getting a job would have just paid for daycare for our 2 small children at the time. So I took a leap of faith into the online business space, started out as a virtual customer service representative, as a remote job long before that was a thing. And I did that for 4.5 years with this e-commerce company. By the end of it all, I was running his $500,000 company that I'd helped him grow to that point for a whopping $12 an hour. And I went, no, I'm not going to run your company for $12 an hour anymore. I'm going to go back to being a stay-at-home mom because I'd saved up money and all that good stuff. 8 months later, the house fell apart, so I had to start again. So got back in the online space. 8 months later, jumped on social media as a virtual assistant, networked for 6 months, and found my way to other virtual assistants who started subcontracting to me. And so in October of 2009, my business was born. It started out as a virtual assistant business doing marketing, executive assistant, operations, whatever was needed by the online business owners that I struck out to support, because I had found them through a brief moment as a transcriptionist before going back to being a virtual assistant. From 2009 to today, it has grown, evolved. It's changed names and rebranded twice. It's gone from virtual assistant business to social media management and operations to marketing and operations. And then in 2024, I decided to truly follow my passion, which is marketing. And that's where FMD Strategic Partners was born. I decided to stop trying to marry operations and marketing because in all reality, I didn't like doing operations. I didn't want to do it anymore. I really wanted to focus on marketing and to differentiate ourselves as you need to do in this crazy online marketing world with marketing agencies being a dime a dozen. I created the fractional marketing department model that we have now. So we are the entire fractional marketing department. We're not an agency. And we don't just do one thing or another. We actually do the entire marketing department functionality, from the custom strategy and plan to the 90-day execution sprints, with the data analytics and data-driven methodologies that are the most likely to succeed in the marketing space, especially for those independent, privately owned service providers that we work for. To help them stand out against that enterprise level marketing, we can now give that to them at an affordable rate that they can actually do within their budget. As most CFOs will recommend 5 to 10% of gross revenue, that's what we do. We take that budget and we make it work for all aspects of their marketing, their ad spend, our services, any tech and marketing expenses they have for CRMs, those kinds of things. And we can take that for, $2 to $3 million companies up to 50 million. Sweet spot is 5 to 20 million. In those ranges, when you're ready for that enterprise level marketing, we can do that and we can help you compete and succeed against those big corporate entities that you may be up against in your city and state.
Yes, you really are taking medium-sized companies, I guess, and making them, give them large quality service, the service that most in-house marketing teams would provide to a corporate level organization.
Correct. Yes, that's exactly it.
And it's amazing that you've grown that from starting off as a virtual assistant services, back in 2009, which, I actually, I didn't ever realize VAs existed then. It's something I thought had only come in the 2020s. Were you breaking the mold back then, or was this quite common in your part of the world?
No, it was quite common back then. It wasn't as well known as it is today, of course, but, and thanks to the pandemic, that brought out everybody who thought they could be a virtual assistant. Not everybody really truly is. Just like not everybody really, that brought out marketers. It brought out everything you can think of under the sun, the pandemic did. But now, virtual assistants have been around for, even probably longer than my 25 years of being in the online space. It's just they weren't as well known in the beginning as they are now.
Mm. Yeah, it makes sense. It's a very good resource. So it's wonderful to see how you've evolved over that time. And you said you've just found your passion, I guess, and your focus, and been able to go forward with FMD.
Yes.
Has that been quite rewarding? I know it's been quite challenging for you in many ways, especially because of the market that you go for, which is not the traditional. A lot of companies smaller companies, businesses start and go, okay, we'll get to start with startups. We'll aim quite low. You've gone for much more sophisticated offering. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. I mean, I thought I loved operations and I'm really good at it, but, it's just not my passion. The marketing side of things has quote, saved my business more than once. In 2019, I actually, as an operations and marketing firm, lost it all after going exclusive with a company that I'd been working with for years in the operations side of things. By the end of that first year of doing that with them, I had realized that alone wasn't enough, and I really missed the marketing. So I had quietly launched a digital marketing agency as a second revenue stream for the company. Grateful that I did, because shortly after I did that, they fired me and let me go. And I literally had nothing left because I'd let go of all my other clients. I'd gone exclusive, and I started over from zero in January of 2019 with that digital marketing agency. And that's what rebuilt my business from the ground up back to six figures and beyond. And then as I continued to try to grow it, that's where I brought operations back into it, thinking, okay, if I can do marketing, I can do operations, and it's more revenue streams and more clients. And it kind of worked, but it was never really, it was always with those clients that are in that less than seven figure space. And because of that, they can only afford so much, which means we can only do so much. And, in the end of it, we're not really getting them the results they need and deserve to grow, because it does take a lot more money these days to be able to market and operate and be successful to get to seven figures, eight figures and beyond. And in this process, in my market research, talking to the privately owned doctors and attorneys and financial service providers I had in my network, that main complaint they had was being able to compete with their corporate competitors, knowing they provide better services, have a relationship with their clients and patients, and they really struggle to be able to do the marketing that competes with them. And that was part of my inspiration for what I do now and who I serve. But living in Nashville, Tennessee, we have the 5 biggest healthcare corporations headquartered here. So over the last 13 years of living here, I have had to put up with the horrible healthcare they provide. I've literally experienced it myself, my family, my grandson. I just, in the last, 30, 60 days, broke free from that and found a concierge medical clinic that can serve us, that can take care of us, and also take my husband's insurance, because he still has a job with insurance. And a lot of the private medical care people don't take insurance anymore. So, that's an even harder thing to find than just medical care that's not connected to the corporate entities. And, having had that struggle myself, I know who their people are. I am their people.
Yes.
So I can truly market them from that vantage point of the experience I've had as that person getting the terrible health care from the corporate world, or family members having less than desirable legal cases managed by big law and things like that. I have that personal experience. So that is a personal, true passion. It's not just something I chose out of thin air or thought, hey, this is the way I'm going to make lots of money, is I'm going to do this. It truly is a personal passion to support them so they can be found by people like me looking for them, but they're hard to find because their marketing doesn't bring them up and above those corporate entities that you see everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. They really do need that extra oomph, don't they? That much more high quality service than what most agencies can provide. So how do you differentiate yourself in that way?
Well, the biggest differentiator is the fact that we start with a custom deep dive audit that creates a strategy that is custom to that business, and it dives deep. We do a SWOT analysis. We do a competitive analysis. We analyze their unique value proposition. We look at their ideal audience, and we really dive deep and create avatars and personas that, could be real human beings when we're done, so that their brand, their messaging, and where they are marketing is going to be only where they need to be, where their people are that are going to hear their message and find them and want to work with them. And then from there, we do 90-day execution sprints with very specific campaign metric driven initiatives that test the waters very specifically, so that we can dial in on what really truly works based on the data, not just hopes and prayers and likes and shares on social media. This goes way beyond the vanity metrics. It goes way beyond the, throw spaghetti against the wall, see what sticks, let's be everywhere and do everything. It really does dial into what works for them. And then we can optimize and grow it from there and scale it to any level they want to go to. And if they want to add other services, other revenue streams, we have figured out what works, and we can take that and tweak it to fit the other revenue stream in the ways we know are going to work, changing their, it may change their ideal client avatars, it may change their UVP, depending, but we know what to do and we can get there quicker by having this experience with their main line of revenue generation and what we've established there.
So you've talked to me a lot in the past about a little phrase of seen, heard, and chosen. What does that mean to you?
Well, that means you're the, the underdog. You're the independent provider fighting to stay in business, to grow, to be that doctor, that attorney, that veterinarian, that financial planner who is truly serving your people and your community. But they're not lining up at your doors. Your phone is not ringing off the hook. The appointments are not filling up because when people search for you, whether it be on Google, in AI, on social media, the big corporate entities are showing up. So the idea is you have to be seen. So you need visibility. You have to be seen, and then they have to hear you, because if they see you, but you're just talking the same talk that everybody else is talking, they don't hear you. Now,
Yeah.
you also have to be talking to your people very specifically. So if you're just talking generically to everyone and anyone, you're not going to be heard. So it's about getting you visible, getting you seen in the places where your people are, and then they can hear you because you're speaking above the noise of what makes you unique, what makes you special, not your credentials, not how many people you've served. It's about how you serve or what you do that makes you different, so that you become heard by those people looking for you. And then you become the obvious choice. You become the chosen one, so to speak. Harry Potter phrase there.
Yep.
You become the chosen doctor, lawyer, veterinarian because you stand out now. You have the marketing and the means to be able to be the people they see over that corporate noise and all the generic stuff that they're just spewing out there, trying to get anyone and everyone in the doors. You're different. You're after the people that you can serve and help, and your community too. That's the other thing, is by telling your story of who you are and how you serve beyond your business, you're going to attract those people to be seen, heard, and chosen, because they get to see the human in you. They get to see the work you do outside of your work. And that is so very important these days when you're competing against those corporate entities that are all about the money. They're all about
Yeah.
the people being numbers and money and dollar signs. When you can stand out amongst that, you are seen, you are heard, and then you are chosen.
Yeah, it's a wonderful point and very well articulated. It's the same thing that I say to people as well, I guess in different words, but that the challenge with being a lawyer, doctor, veterinarian, a coach, anyone really in professional services is no one knows they need you until they need you. So you have to be really well positioned when that need comes up. And you're right, but giving that community feedback and that community contribution can only lead to very positive things, and showing that then that you, like your business, you can provide that service at a lower cost, but still at that higher corporate quality is a win for everybody, because the client gets the best services, you get the great clients, and everyone wins.
It is. It's a win-win-win for everybody, because we get to do what we do, serving those people who are trying to be the best doctor, lawyer. I mean, no, that's a coined phrase. It's not really, but you get to be the best you. It's not about being the best doctor or lawyer. It's the best you that you can be in the work you do, the service you provide, all of those things. And I get to do the same thing. I am actually, I'm walking my talk. What I do for my clients, I do for myself. I do in my life. I am that, I'm the grandma that is there for my grandson, and we have every other week get-togethers. I'm there for my family. That has always been a big thing for me in working from home. I mean, it started from that need to be there for my family and make money and do all the other things that you do as a mom and a business owner and a wife and all of those things. And, back in the day, I used to work with working moms, business owners that were moms because we could relate. We were in the same boat. They had small kids. I had small kids. We were running businesses. And because I can relate and empathize, and I have lived that battle. I lost it all in 2019. Now, I am not going up against corporate marketing, entities, but it's the same struggle. It's the same will to survive, to thrive, to be my business the best I can be in it and through it and make the money. But I'm making money because I'm serving people and helping them serve people and make money. It's not just about I'm going to make millions of dollars doing what I do, because in all honesty, doing what we do, the other differentiator here is we can only work with a maximum of 10 clients at any given time.
Yes,
We are
absolutely.
not, that's why we're not an agency. It's not just a churn and burn cookie cutter playbook. We can work with 50, 100,000 different clients, because we don't and we can't, because we are specialists. You get the full marketing department dedicated to you as the client. You're not getting different people working on your stuff every week, every month, whatever. And our team members that you do work with, they're going to have a max of 3 to 4 clients each, depending upon the workload, so that they're not overtaxed, so they don't mix up who they're working for today, what they're doing tomorrow. It's all very organized and systematized and very specifically designed to serve you with as few problems, concerns, things that can happen. We're all human, stuff happens, but it's the best way to support you on a level with the exceptional services. It's not generic services. It's not $10 an hour services. These are people who've been working in their fields for minimum 5 years. Many of my partners in 1099s have been doing it for 20 and 30 years. So you're getting real people with real experience dedicated to making sure we do the best we can do for you and get the results through our data-driven strategies and plans.
So for those outside the US, what is a 1099?
A 1099 is an independent contractor. That means they're not an employee of my company. They are contracted to work on very specific, either client engagements, aspects of what we deliver. And some of them, do my marketing. Like I said, I do for myself what I do for my clients. So some of them work for me and do my marketing based on the data-driven strategies and plans we create for me and my company. And then there's firms that we partner with. They're not teams. It's actually a subcontract kind of situation, similar to a 1099 individual that I'm subcontracting to them as an individual, and other firms that I'm partnered with for, the various aspects of marketing, depending upon what their strategy calls for. It's a subcontract situation, but we are the point of myself and the director of marketing that is assigned to your account are your points of contact. You don't have to talk to 50 different people every day. You don't have to say, well, who's doing social media? Who's doing this? Or can we do this? What are we doing? You talk to me and the director of marketing, and you get your answers, and you get that custom level, it's not necessarily white glove, but it's a partnership. That's why there's partners in my name. We consider this a partnership. It's not transactional like an agency. We are there to be a part of your business from a remote fractional perspective to help you grow and thrive in the way that you want to, based on your business goals and your desires and dreams.
So just thinking off the back of that, we both work a lot with those in professional services. I have my own views, but what do you think that when professionals say they need marketing, do they often jump to the wrong solution?
Well, they don't know what they don't know. I mean, you go to law school to become a lawyer, not to become a marketer. You go to med school to become a doctor, not a marketer. You become, an HVAC provider, not to be a marketer. You don't really know what you don't know. And, so many people will throw handy dandy solutions at you and say, we can get you 50,000 leads a month, or we can do this. And they're, those singular entities of marketing, sound good. But when it comes down to it, it usually isn't the right solution, and it's usually not enough, because just getting leads in the door doesn't mean you're going to convert and sell. How are you getting those leads? Are those leads qualified? And in today's world, people are going to look you up before they ever schedule an appointment or call your business, because we are an internet phone world. Everybody is looking you up in AI, social media, Google, whatever. It really takes a well-rounded approach to marketing. You have to be where your people are. You have to know who you are and what you do. And, most of the time when you go to professional services websites, it's all about their credentials, who they are and what they do from that perspective. And it's about what they do. They don't talk to their people, their ideal clients. They're talking about themselves, but they don't
Yes.
know any better. They
Yes.
don't know any better. It has to come from a different perspective. And the only people that are going to know that are true marketing experts who've been in it for years, like I have, like my team has, my people have. And, the half-assed tactics of old used to work. I mean, I will fully admit, when I first began, 17 years ago, and I was I was using social media as my main bread and butter marketing thing. I was doing it myself. I didn't have a team then. And I was doing whatever I thought I could do. Random tactics, posting when I could, these different things. But I was networking too. It worked. But that doesn't work anymore. You can't just do social media. You can't just do ads. It is a complete, well-rounded thing that you have to do these days. And when professional service providers, a lot of them want the quick fix, the quick results, the guaranteed results. Well, I'm here to tell you all of that is complete baloney. There is no overnight success with marketing. There is no going from $0 to $1 million in 90 days, 6 months. That is not going to happen. The longer the world develops in marketing and the different things come out, the algorithms change, it becomes harder and harder to truly market successfully. And there is no guarantee. I can't control the algorithms. I can't control the economy. I can't control anything outside of the data that we can present and work with. And that's why the data-driven approach is the most likely to be successful and what many people are trying to go to, because the random tactics, they just don't work. And when it comes to, your business thriving, you've got to do what works. You've got to be ready to invest in something bigger, something better, something more strategic and transparent. For, in all honesty, I'm not going to fill you full of fluff and puff and baloney and say, well, we're going to do this, that, and the other, and it's going to get you this, that, and the other. It's like, here's what we're going to do. The data says this. We're going to try these 3 things. And with this specific metric in mind, if we don't meet that metric, we have the data to look at and go, okay, this isn't working because of this or because of that. Well, let's do this instead. Those kinds of things. That's the only way you can truly market and figure out what works and then optimize it from there. And, that is the critical piece of what many professional service providers miss. And it's funny because they look at the data and the other aspects of their business.
Absolutely.
They look at their operational data. They look at their financial data. They look at their, the performance data of their people, but they don't really look at their marketing data because they don't know how, they don't know what to look for. And that's where experts like you and I come in to point them to the right data to get, and so many don't even have data set up. I mean, I've had people come to me, they don't have Google Analytics set up, connected to their website. They don't, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. Yeah, we gotta get really data driven here. You've got to know your data. And it starts there, is knowing your data and going from there.
It's what you said at the beginning of that was particularly of note, I think, is that if someone comes to you as a professional services provider and says, I'm going to get you 50 new leads, I'll get you 50 new prospects by the end of this week, they are so full of it. They are so full of it. How on earth can they, because the nature of being a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant is no one comes to you until they need you. I mean, that you have to be well position yourself so that when someone has a need, they come to you. But I don't know anybody who goes out and just seeks out lawyers for fun. It's because they have a need or they predict they're going to have a need. And so if anyone says, yeah, I can get you 20 new leads tomorrow, 50 new leads, 100 new leads, just laugh them off. You'd absolutely, they will
Yes.
absolutely not be able to.
Yes. I mean, it's, yes. I mean, the appointment setters, they work it, they are a valid, thing for certain business types. But like you said, when it comes to professional services, especially doctors, lawyers, veterinarians, they're not waiting for some appointment setter to call and say, hey, do you need a veterinarian? Is your dog sick? Can we get, I've got the, it doesn't work like that. And the more elite the practice is, the more specialized the practice is, the less that's going to work because, if you're a podiatrist, an orthopedic surgeon, you're not going to start just randomly reaching out to people by phone on social media and say, hey, did you break your leg yesterday and you need an orthopedic surgeon to fix that? No,
Nope.
that's just not how it works. The lead generation generic AI driven ads. It's that they're like, yeah, I'm going to run ads and I'm going to get you 50 leads. It's like, okay, so they're not an appointment setter, but they're going to run generic, basic ads to everybody in the world.
No, again, it comes back to target market, doesn't it? You need to know your target market because if you are going to do ads, sometimes it is valid to do ads, but you need to really know who you're targeting at and spending that money on at that time because otherwise it's just going to be money down the drain and time down the drain because you won't get the results. It's impossible. So
it is. It really is. Target audience and messaging, that behind the ads. I mean, those two things are critical for an ad to succeed.
So you're talking a bit about data-driven tactics. Just give us some examples of some of the data points that you're working with.
So, examples of how data-driven marketing works is one of the things we want to know is what are your business goals? Because it all comes down to your business goals. How many, if you're a doctor and how many new patients do you want per month? How much revenue do you want to generate? What is the service that you provide the most of? Where can we fine tune all of that? Where can we get people in for that? Because the data behind it is, it's about where they are, who they are, and when they're looking, those kinds of things. And that's the key is, in professional services, one of the biggest things they do is they have that roller coaster, that feast or famine. It's like they market, they get a bunch of new clients or new patients, and then they stop marketing because they're busy delivering. And then that pipeline dries up and they have to start all over again. And it's this feast or famine cycle. They don't even realize that you have to keep that pipeline on at all times. Yeah. You may dial it back a little bit, but you don't turn it off because once you turn it off, you're starting all over every time you restart it. So, that's where the data comes in. We're going to start with your business goals and we're going to reverse engineer what it takes to get there. So how many new patients you need a month, new clients you need a month, at what you charge for that. Okay. And then what's your conversion rate? Because marketing works hand in hand with sales. It is not a separate entity. We work hand in hand with sales so that they can tell us if our leads are good leads that are converting. We need to know that your sales process is dialed in and your conversion rates, because if your conversion rates are 30%, then we know we have to bring in X leads to convert 30% of them into the high number of patients or clients you want to get each month to grow your business to hit X financial goal by the end of the year or the end of the 12 months. So that is the biggest piece of our data-driven side of things. That is the important piece, because without that, the other metrics don't matter. It's like, yes, you need followers. Yes, you need people seeing your content, those kinds of things. But ultimately, it's about a call to action to get them to take action, to pick up the phone or book the call, whatever the case may be. That is the ultimate goal of the data-driven work we're going to do. But it all starts with your business goals, your desires. And it can be you're growing it to pass it down to your family. You're growing it to exit on your terms many years down the road instead of forced out by corporate buying your practice so that you can, because you can't make money on it, those kinds of things. Your vision for your business is where it starts. And that's the kind of data-driven work we do, because those are the only metrics that really matter in the end of it all. Is where do you want your business to be 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 20 years, whatever the case may be. That's what matters. And that's how you build a data-driven strategy and plan. And that's the focus of what we do when it comes to that.
Yeah, it's quite funny because if you think about accountants and lawyers and maybe even doctors, they are quite data driven people. That's the way that their practice is. But there's so many people that I've spoken to, potential clients or whatever, they just want to jump straight into tactics. They just want to jump straight into doing some social media posts or doing a webinar or doing something. Minimal effort, minimal return. And, then they want KPIs, but you need to do the strategy first to set those KPIs. You have to have something to measure against. So
Yes.
It completely makes sense what you're saying. And then I guess we're thinking along those lines of positioning. Positioning is really important, I think. In your view, what's the role that positioning play in professional services marketing from your side, Sophie?
Positioning is everything, because that's the thing that's going to make you stand out from the corporate noise, the corporate entities, the big law entities, the big, even, in certain professional services, the big franchises that are out there, because franchise is similar to the corporate owned, private equity owned, those kinds of entities. And because they all have the dollars and the people and the, all the things. Positioning is everything, because you won't be seen, heard, or chosen if you don't have positioning that makes you stand out for who you are, what you do differently than everybody else, especially the big boys that you're up against. Positioning comes from brand, comes from who you serve. It comes from your unique value proposition, your ideal client avatars. All of those things come together so that you can position yourself as the solution to the problem your ideal clients have. But it's not just any generic solution. It's a very specific solution that you and only you can provide. The transformation your clients have, the health your patients achieve, whatever the case may be. It's that client journey that you have to know really well to position yourself to speak to that story, to speak to their problem, to speak to them, and they go, he gets me, she gets me. She's helped other people do with my same problem. I'm going to go there and I'm going to get service. It's going to be a relationship. I'm not just going to be a number in an assembly line service providing situation. They care. They're going to talk to me. They're going to build a relationship with me. They're going to know my name, and they're going to know, they're not going to spend 5 minutes with me, give me a prescription and send me out the door. If you're a doctor, they're going to actually, their root cause perhaps might be your positioning, whatever the case may be. Positioning is everything, because that's what makes you be seen, chosen, and heard and chosen, excuse me.
I guess that then means they need to understand their values and what they stand for, doesn't it? Because they have to be able to communicate and understand and promote why they want to be those chosen people.
Absolutely. It goes beyond credentials. You as a human being, who you are, what you value. One of the biggest things that a lot of people miss is their internal office culture. That's important too. Speaking to how you take care of your employees, reward them, showcase them, because, your nurses are talking to your patients and following up and taking care of them. It's a family-oriented business, whatever the case may be. It goes deep into values, culture, who you are, who your people are, and how you serve in all respects, not just within your business, not just your patients or clients. It's your employees. It's your practice. It's your community. Those values, those things that you do outside of work, but also within work, but not just you. it's not just about you anymore.
Yeah, well, and I guess that's one of the hardest things the professionals need to come to terms with is it's not just about them. It's not just it's about the patients. It's about the clients. It's about the staff. It's pretty much about anyone but you. You are the one providing the service, but at the end of the day, it's for everybody else, and you're the service.
Yes, you're providing the service, but the environment in which you're providing it, how you're providing it, how your team and your people in your office fit into that and make everybody feel welcome, received, all of those different things, because, the service itself is only a piece of the pie. The client experience, the results, how they're treated, not just by you, by your staff. Lawyers have paralegals and intake personnel and receptionists and all of those people. If you don't have this amazing environment and culture of service from every single one on your team, including yourself, you're still going to be just another attorney or just another doctor, because it's, it's not an experience. It is not it's not a wow, because customer service isn't everything. Everyone that touches your clients, that interacts with your clients, has to be the utmost in customer service and client care. That is ultimately what it is. You could be the best doctor in the world, but if you have a terrible bedside manner, if your staff is cold and distant and it's just in and out, you're going to be like all those corporate entities, and you're not going to keep clients and you're not going to get new patients.
Yeah, word spreads very quickly, doesn't it? It takes a lot of effort to build up goodwill and good reputation, and a second to destroy it.
Yes, easily destroyed. One bad, one mishandled client or patient, for whatever reason, even if it's an honest mistake, whatever the case may be, that can destroy everything. It's all about how you show up, but how everybody shows up, not just you.
So, are you able to give us an example or two of where you've seen things done well, and where you've seen things that have not been done so well?
Well, one of my favorite client success stories comes from an attorney that I worked with him twice over all these years. But the first time when we first got together, he had a marketing strategy. And, he had, his website was rebuilt. He had these professionally produced videos. He had all these aspects of this marketing, but he didn't have social media. I mean, he had social media. He wasn't blogging. He wasn't really doing the other pieces of content marketing. And he brought me in for content marketing, for his newsletter, for social media, for blogging. And we put together a mini strategy of sorts to be able to produce content that would show his expertise, that would bring visibility, especially on social media, and bring out the human being that he is as an attorney. When I told him he needed to come out of the gym, grab his phone, and do a video of, some tip or, something about what he does, but off the cuff, unproduced, sweaty and gross, and put that on Facebook and Instagram and even LinkedIn, he's gonna, that's gonna be what he needs to do. He needs that human side, that off the cuff side, because everything else was all his credentials and the produced videos and the FAQs. And it's like, now let's make you human. Let's make you approachable, visible. And I was so proud and happy when, months later he came to me, he goes, I never would have thought that being on my phone, talking without a script and, production and all that would ever get me anywhere. He goes, I literally have people walking up to me on the street, recognizing me from my videos on social media, and the blog posts that they've seen because they see me on Facebook, and then they go to my website and they just cross me in the street and went, I know you. You're that attorney who does da 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 da. It was success. The visibility worked. The human piece of him stood out not more than all that professional credential stuff, but it was the thing that tipped the iceberg, tipped it into more business, more clients, that visibility. He was seen, he was heard, and he was chosen. And that was the beginnings of that, years ago, even before FMD existed. It was kind of like an intuitive thing for me to go, you need to do these very specific things for these, and it paid off and it worked. And then he came back to me years later after we parted ways for me going exclusive with that client. We parted ways. And then when that went, then I wasn't working for them anymore and I was doing digital marketing, and I looked him up and said, hey, do you need any work again? And he's like, actually, I want to bring you back for all that stuff you did before. And he brought me back, and we focused more on his newsletter then, but it was still that same work that he knew and trusted. And we continued to grow his list, grow his newsletter, all those different things. So that's one of my best success stories. The things that didn't work, random social media, that was minimal social media as the only thing they wanted us to do. They were, they were doing other things with other people, or they were doing things themselves. Don't get me wrong. When you're a solo provider, there's a lot you got to do yourself. Doing social media just to do social media is basically what they wanted. They're like, we just want a presence. We want you to post stuff out there, and, we just, a few times a week. And it's like, okay, we can do that. And we did that. And we did it for quite some time. And they didn't see any results. And they wondered why. And I told them from the get-go that, yes, the result will be you have a presence. The result will be you have consistent content. But the result will not necessarily be more clients, more patients, more whatever. Because this is just a minimalist approach that's fairly random and not very strategic and definitely not data-driven. I mean, these were the things that taught me that data-driven and what we do now is what we should be done. My experience of working random tactics with various clients over the years. Clients who didn't want to spend a lot of money, who just want to do, well, we know we need social media, so just go do something.
Yeah.
People know what that means. People know when you're not really into social media.
Yes. Yep.
And it doesn't work. So
absolutely,
that's my success story and my that doesn't work story.
So the success story is great from a number of reasons, or a number of aspects. It really comes down to authenticity, and authenticity is something I posted about on my own social media about a week ago, because it just struck me from the conversations I've been having recently about how important authenticity is, and being yourself and getting people to know who you are, especially as a professional, because ultimately people are buying people. People are buying you for you and your expertise, and the fact that you can listen to them and understand what they're doing and communicate back to the answers to their problems, solve their problems for them. But, there will be a lot of professionals who say, I don't want to go near video. I don't want to go near Instagram. I don't want to go near Facebook. I don't want to go near YouTube. I don't want to go near TikTok. What is your view on, which is your view? The more the merrier, get us out there as much as you can, or is it really be very tactical and targeted about which social media platforms you put your content out on?
It is most definitely tactical and targeted and data-driven. Just because people are on TikTok doesn't mean you need to be on TikTok. And if doing the weird dances, the pointing, whatever's trending on TikTok to make TikTok so successful for someone is not your thing, most definitely do not do it. That will ruin your reputation, can hurt you in all respects, because, if they go over to LinkedIn and they see this professional service provider doing professional approach there, and then they go over to TikTok and they see you doing the weird dances, and they can tell that you're awkward about it, that you're not really liking it, that you're not doing it because it's fun and it's something that you like to do. You break the authenticity, you break who you are as a human being, and they can see, oh, he's doing this just because it's a trend. Well, I don't want to, work with this person because they're just doing all this crazy, stupid stuff just to do it because they think they have to. Authenticity has become a buzzword. I will, say that straight out, but it's not a buzzword if you take it to heart. for who you are, you individually. Don't let someone tell you what authenticity is for you. Don't let someone tell you who to be, because then you're not being authentic. My prime example for myself is, early, at the beginning of this year, I was working with some mentors and coaches and things, and they found out I play poker. And they found out I have a dream to be the first woman to win the World Series of poker. And they're like, why aren't you talking about that? Why aren't you telling your story about that? Why aren't you bringing poker into the marketing? Because marketing and poker are alike if you're playing it the way you play poker, strategically, knowing the game, knowing the odds, knowing the people at the table, the environment, all those things that I do in poker are things you do in marketing, successful marketing. And then, there's the whole, I grew up on a pig farm in Southern Illinois with a dad who cussed like a sailor, who spoke his mind completely unfiltered, not giving a damn what people thought, which is who I am too. And they're like, why aren't you doing that? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like that piece of me that wanted, well, you can't do that. It's like, but that is who I am authentically. Early this year, I switched it up and I started talking about poker. I started cussing because I do cuss. F-bombs are a thing for me, other words are a thing for me. And no, I don't overuse it. I don't use it just to use it. But if I say it in a conversation that is a social media post, then it's a social media post. If I'm writing from my brain, not from a copywriter, not from AI, although I will say I have trained my AI to cuss like me so that it can help me write my content. But, being who you are, no matter what that is truly important. And again, walking my talk, doing for myself. I talk poker now. I talk cuss when it hits me, when when I'm writing, it's like, for a little bit more kick here, I need to, I'm going to say the F-bomb, or I'm going to say this, or I'm going to say that, but it's not like every other word in my post. It's not F-bomb, 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 just to be F-bombing. It's like, and it's raw and real too. I mean, even when I'm not, using cuss words, I'm not using jargon. I'm not using that fluffy professional language. I'm talking like a human being, like I talk
Yes.
as a human being. When I changed my picture on LinkedIn to the one with the royal flush in my hand, and I reached out to, a potential strategic partner, and he literally told me after, he said hello and connected, and we decided to talk about potentials as a strategic partner. He goes, I have to be honest. He goes, you had me with that picture of you with the cards in your hand. He goes, and I was like, well, thank you. I said, and he didn't even realize it was a poker reference, the royal flush of it. He goes, I saw it as you hold all the cards. I knew I had to talk to you because you hold all the cards. But it's because of poker that I had those cards. And, it's like, that's what being authentic does.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to dwell on, I guess, because there are others who would judge on that and say, well, this lady's a gambler. Why would I risk my marketing with this lady? She's a gambler. Or, they're against for religious reasons, they're against gambling or something like that. So obviously you're not going to appeal to everybody, but I guess that is something that you need to be comfortable with, don't you? You need to know your audience and if you know your audience doesn't like poker, then probably don't put that up.
Then they're not my audience.
Your audience is
and that's okay.
Exactly. Yeah. You
I'm
can't
not going to appeal to everybody. And that's the whole point is you're not meant to appeal to everybody. Your audience, the people who want to work with you, will see that and resonate with it and relate to it and go, oh my God. I mean, in certain rooms, when I bring up it, like if I'm introducing myself and I bring up the piece about being the first woman to win the World Series of Poker, do you know how many heads turn and actually go, that is so cool. Tell me more about that. It's a conversation starter. And I can lead it to marketing because, one of my phrases that I say all the time is, it's only gambling if you're guessing.
Yeah.
In marketing, if you're guessing random tactics, it's gambling. In poker, if you're not looking at the odds, the hands, the people, all the things. It's gambling. Because you can gamble at poker, but you can also win at poker by playing strategically with the various aspects that you can work with in poker to be as successful as possible. You're not 100% successful in poker, but you aren't in anything in life. There's always going to be failures. Failures help you succeed. You learn from your failures. You grow, you change, you evolve. Marketing is the same. Poker is the same. So it's all a part of who I am. If that fascinates you, that opens the conversation, that opens that door, and that person may actually work with me because I play poker, because I talk about it, because I can relate to it. I can relate the two together. I don't talk about it just to talk about it to get attention.
You hold all the cards, Sophie. You hold all the cards.
I do.
And that's
Yes,
what you want
very
your
much
clients
so.
to do, right? That's what you're really helping your clients to do, is hold all the cards. And we're both doing that. We're both
Yes,
empowering our clients to hold all the cards. That is the idea.
yes.
Have the data,
Hold all
have
the
the
cards.
strategy, so you hold all the cards.
Yes, definitely. Because in the end, that's what you're doing. It is a game to a certain extent. It just depends on how you look at life, at your business, everything. Seeing it as a game, people are like, well, it's not a game. This is serious business. And it's like, well, yes. But, if you can gamify it in a way that works for you, that feels good to you, that is, that's how you can build a culture. You can build a presence. It's like, you got to do what makes people see. Again, it's about the human in you, who you are as a person, a human, the things you like to do. Occasionally, I don't talk about family a lot. My family is they're very private. But, I will refer to them on a higher level, like I'll talk about an outing with my grandson and my son without naming them, without a picture of them. But I'll be like, this is part of who I am. Life is good when I can spend time with my grandson and son, doing nothing to do with work, going and having fun and spending time and bonding, because that brings me back to work in the work week ahead, refreshed, renewed, because I got to spend time with my family, and I got to do that because of what I do in my business, as a self-employed person. The JOB world, I may not be able to do that even on weekends, because if I have a job that works weekends, when I get to see my son or grandson mostly, then I miss out.
Yeah. And you got to know what's important to you, don't you? And know the real you. Now, just to change tact slightly, you mentioned AI very briefly before, that you've trained your AI to cuss like you, to swear like you.
Yes.
AI is on the word on everybody's lips, and there's lots of people asking out there, is AI going to replace lawyers? Is AI going to replace receptionists? Is AI going to replace real estate agents? No one really knows. But where do you think AI can genuinely help in professional services marketing?
AI is a tool like your CRM, like your social media sites, like your Google Analytics, like your website. It is a tool. And it's a tool that can assist you to be more efficient, more effective, to actually provide better service, better whatever that you do in different aspects. But it does not replace you. It takes me back to the days where, when Facebook ads became the thing to do, because you could literally set it and forget it and get results for pennies on the dollar, because Facebook hadn't figured out how to truly monetize it and make you work for your results and make you spend money on it and give you algorithms and give you the things that make it harder for you to market. AI is exactly like that. Right now, a lot of people are in that AI. It replaces my receptionist. It replaces my call center. It replaces my research as an attorney to put my brief together for the court case I have tomorrow. No, because if you do it from that perspective, it's going to have a mind of its own, because it does technically have a mind of its own if it's not properly trained, properly managed, properly verified and confirmed for truth, reality, or, legality, all the different things. You're going to get into trouble. And, I have recently been working with someone who came to me for my marketing perspective. And when I looked at the back end of their marketing that they currently have, massively AI generated, set and forget. Not good. Not
Mm.
good at all. Now, didn't harm them or their reputation, but it's not going to get results because it's generic. It's AI. It's less than they deserve, and it's not really who they are. It doesn't work like that. So, yes, we use AI. Have I used it to replace anybody in my business? No. Has it become my executive assistant in certain aspects? Yes, but I didn't have a human executive assistant in the first place. So I didn't replace him or her with AI. I chose to make my life easier as a CEO and leader of my business and work with Claude Cowork to do some of the things that an executive assistant could do. And I didn't do it because I didn't want to hire a human being. I did it because I wanted to try it. I wanted to see, because you don't know until you try. And some of the things it does are very good. Down the road, will I have a human executive assistant? Probably, because they're going to take over what Claude Cowork does. They're going to manage it. They're going to oversee it to make sure it's still functioning properly, how they can make it better, what else we can do. They're going to be the human executive assistant assisted by my Claude Cowork to do a better job than they would do coming in and having to learn it all and figure it all out together. They can work together to be the best executive assistant I could have, and it all works out. Same with content writing, topic research, the data-driven strategy we do, the research, but we're there running it the whole time. We are not just go in here and create this for our client and then just putting it out there. Can't do that because
100%.
you just can't do that. AI is a tool, and used correctly with human oversight and proper training and all the different things, it can help you do better, efficient, effective, all those things, but it cannot replace you as a human being. People still want that human touch, that human conversation, that human interaction, especially if you're an attorney, a doctor, a nurse, a financial planner, all of those things, because doing it the right way with the right combinations of AI and people and technology, that will be the best solution you can provide for someone, not just being a human being providing all AI solutions.
So where have you seen AI used well in professional services marketing?
It's the best way to use it in professional services marketing is to help you develop the strategy, the avatars, to do the research, to figure out what the best strategy and plan is for them. But it's also great for analyzing the data you get out of the marketing initiatives, so you know what you can do better, differently, what have you. Because yes, the human brain can analyze it, but when you're assisted by AI analysis, you can get so much more out of it. It's good for data analysis. It's great for topic research. Now, it can help with SEO, but very minimally, because as much as I've tried to use my Claude in many different approaches for SEO, ultimately, it doesn't have the access that true SEO tools do have to look at the keywords that work, that have the different things. I have had it come up with the most random keywords and say, this is what you need to do for your SEO for this blog post or this social media post. And then I go over to an SEO specific tool that I have, and I put that in there, and it's like, yeah, that word doesn't exist, never been used, never will be used. And I'm like, that's why you verify it has its place, but it also has to be used correctly. And, data analysis, data research, optimizing what you do, it can help you do that. It can help you create content as a starting point. The humans still need to make it human, make it you, make it your voice, your brand, those things. Because one thing I have definitely learned from using Claude myself for creating content, doing research, whatever it is for me, myself and my business, is it forgets. It
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
forgets. And like I said, I have trained it to talk like me with, you know, raw, real, unfiltered, some cussing, whatever the case may be. And I'll go in, month after month creating content. And even halfway through creating, a month's worth of content, it suddenly becomes this polished copywriter, not talking like me at all. And I have to go, wait, whoa, where'd you go? Hello. And it literally says, oh my gosh, you're right. Yep. I forgot. I went back to being a copywriter that I'm not supposed to be. Let me redo that and be Sophie and be raw and be real. And, you have to remind it because yes, it has memory, but the memory, it just does not permanently remember day to day, month to month, whatever, how to be you, it, whatever you've trained it to do. It is a constant human supervised tool to use. That's it. If we let it take over the work we do, there's going to be so much trouble in the world in so many respects. I mean, I've already heard the stories of attorneys going into court with a brief that was done with AI that wasn't fact checked. And the judge called them out and they got in trouble.
Of course.
You can't just accept it as fact without doing your homework. It has to have a human oversight. It has to be checked, has to be verified, sometimes more than once, because even your first check can still bring back a hallucination or a made up court case or whatever the case may be. You really have to do your due diligence if you're going to use it in your law firm. And that's why it can't replace a lawyer. It can't replace a doctor. It can.
Yeah, I agree. It can't really give opinions. It can give facts. It can pretend to give opinions, but it's not sentient enough to give an informed opinion like a trained lawyer or doctor can do, having a live conversation with a client, with a patient, taking all the variables into account because it only knows what it knows. And I agree with you. I do agree with you.
Not only does it not only knows what it only knows, but it has been designed to, under the right, and depending upon how you prompt it, it's going to tell you what you want to hear, not necessarily what is true, real, or what you really need to have as the outcome. I have seen plenty of people put in a prompt. I've watched them and they're like, oh, I put this prompt in and it said this. And I'm like, yeah, that's because that's your prompt basically told it that's what you wanted to hear.
Yes.
You have to, the prompting is so critical, but there's no cookie cutter prompt because there's so many people out there. I'll give you the 20 best prompts that got me all this. And it's like, please don't do that. Please don't do anything cookie cutter. That's not you. And, you've got to learn how to prompt it to where it gives you the information you need that is true and factual, not an assumption, not a hallucination, and not what you want to hear just because you're trying to prove something right that may not be right.
I mean, you said that you need to get the information from it you need. It's almost the other way around at first. You have to give it the information it needs in order to actually give you what you need. It needs to have the context, and that's, I think, what a lot of people miss. And you have to spend a lot of time and effort giving it the right context and being very careful about what comes back. But AI, very, very, very powerful tools and very useful day to day. And I agree with you. It could be used for a lot of processes. I use it as a not as a friend, but as a VA or as an assistant, because it's just great for bouncing ideas off. Great for thinking, how am I going to get over this problem? Great. Yes. But then I'm the boss. I'm in control. At the end of the day, it goes out in my name. So it has to be.
Definitely.
So I've had a really great conversation. I hope you've enjoyed it too, Sophie.
Absolutely. Yes.
Just to finish this up, what's one practical step an independent professional could take this week to improve their visibility?
To improve their visibility? Well, before they can improve their visibility, they gotta look at their data. If they don't have data behind their marketing, they need to first put some data in there so they can see where they are visible, what is working, and then they can amplify it from there. So an example would be if you're a professional service provider and you're using LinkedIn for part of your marketing, look at the analytics that are on there. There are analytics on there, but if you haven't looked at your Google Analytics to see if traffic is coming from it to your website, you don't know if it's really effective, and you don't know if the visibility is really working, because yes, LinkedIn will tell you impressions and reach and engagement and all that, but it's not just about that. Is it driving traffic to your website to bring in calls or appointments? Because visibility is great. It is necessary. It is needed, but it is only the beginning. And it's measured in different ways. It's not just measured with your impressions and your engagement on your posts on LinkedIn. That's a starting point. But that also tells you what content you're putting out is resonating and working and what isn't. But in the end, it's got to drive more than that to be worthwhile. So, your first step is to take a look at your data, figure out if anything is working. If you see something that looks like it's working, dig into it and then work on a plan to amplify it, to do more of it, and then continue to track it and make sure it is working and continue to play with it until you get it working. And just do it in one place. Just one place. For professional service providers, the majority of that is LinkedIn. Start there. See what you can do.
Don't gamble.
And don't gamble.
Don't gamble.
Don't guess. Don't gamble.
Totally fine. I love it, Sophie.
Data.
Exactly.
Make it work.
Data backed. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Muhami Matters, Sophie. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me. It's been great. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Lots and lots of fun, lots of useful information for me, for all our audience. Very much grateful to Sophie for all of these insights. And data is the big thing I think it comes down to, is you really, really got to know what you're trying to achieve. And data is the only thing that can really help you with that. So if you're a lawyer or independent professional out there, a doctor, a vet, want to become more visible, you have to approach marketing in a very tactical way and not a reactive way. You have to have the data behind you. You need to get that clarity, I think, is what I'm getting from Sophie. Marketing works best when it starts with clarity. Who you serve, why clients should choose you, what commercial outcome you want, and whether the business is actually ready to convert visibility into opportunity. It's also highly relevant to the Muhami's mission, by the way, and for CJA Consulting. We work because credible legal professionals need more than expertise. They need to be discoverable, understandable, and trusted by the people that need their help. So for anyone listening who'd like Sophie's details, they'll be in the episode notes, along with the links to FMD Strategic Partners and any resources that Sophie's going to share with us. Hopefully some poker help for those out there who need it. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and share it with your network. For more insights and support, visit muhami.ae or connect with me at CJA Consulting. I'm Chris Adams. Until next time, stay informed and stay empowered. Thank you for joining us on Muhami Matters. If you found today's episode valuable, subscribe and connect with me to stay updated. Join me again soon as we continue to bring you credible insights, practical strategies, and trusted advice to empower your professional journey. I'm Chris Adams. Until next time, stay informed and stay empowered.